can go into it.
Yeah, you can tell us about that, Dan, actually.
Yeah, so a lot of times people... Well, let me rewind a little bit. So generally when people start working with us, generally they come from just working for themselves.
Yeah.
So they've been very successful working for themselves, and now they've started to grow a team. And a lot of the time they have challenges managing that team. And so there's, standards that they may have in mind, there's projects or tasks that are not being executed. And so a lot of the time people will say, Dan, help me kind of manage this team member. Like I'm asking them to do something and they haven't done it. And so what I shared is there's a really simple model. If you kind of imagine a triangle, at the top point of the triangle is why. Have you explained why this project, why this task is so important for helping us move the business forward? Because they might not see it as important. They may see, for example, it might be take the rubbish out, right? Or is it something as simplistic as that? They may see that as menial. But if you go, you know what, this is so important because we want to deliver a world-class experience, a world-class environment for our members. It's absolutely essential that we have every element curated through that client experience, that then when they walk in, they feel that this is a special space. That's why we want these cleanliness standards or whatever it is, right? So that's the why.
As you're saying it, I'm just thinking about some of the tasks I've just given my administration assistants, and I think they are a little bit slow, but when I explain things a little bit more about why it's so important from the compliance level, all of a sudden it picks up again. Like it goes quicker.
Yeah.
But it's because we're so quick we got so many tasks to send out, right? Tasks this, so you forget about the why.
You have to give them the why. Like we might know the why, but they'll just see it as another thing to do. Oh, here's another shit task that I got to do.
And I'll get it done by the end of the day.
Yeah, I'll get it done when I get round to it or at the end of the day. So we've got to really be clear on why that task is important, why it's important for the business, the vision, the goals, and how it helps us move forward. Second part of the triangle. So if we go down into the axes, the next axis, it's the how, all right? Do they actually know how to do it? Because we make a lot of assumptions as business owners. We go, we want you to clean the bathrooms, right? What does clean the bathrooms mean? So we need a real definition of done. So what does the task look like when it's executed? And then what are the steps they need to take? Where's the SOP? Is it a written SOP? Is there a Loom video that shows them how to execute it? Can we hand on heart go, you know what? I've given them the SOP. I've trained them in it. I've explained it to them. I've answered all their questions. I've given them everything they need to perform this at a high level. All right? So we've got the why, we've got the how. Then we've just got care, all right? And so when a team member hasn't done anything, I go, look, you haven't cleaned the bathrooms. There's only 3 reasons why you haven't cleaned those bathrooms. Number 1, it's on me. I didn't explain why it's important. I didn't understand, you didn't understand how it was such an integral part of what we do. Number 2, again, it's on me. I didn't explain how to do it. I didn't give you a process. I didn't give you training. I didn't give you feedback. Or number 3, you just don't care enough. And then I let them choose which one of the 3. I'm not blaming them. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not making accusations. I'm asking them, hey, which one out of those 3 reasons on why you hasn't been executed, which one is it? So we can obviously
deal with it.
Deal with it.
That's a great way. That's a great way.
It's a great framework when it comes to leadership. And
I can see why it's on the board still.
After he
was
explained,
great.
I come back and wrote it up there just so we could all
put his
get
signature, Ben.
because I got a lot of value out of it, and I actually implemented some of them and had some tough conversations around using that triangle method around the time that I learnt it from Dan. So, but the interesting part I wrote down here, ownership. In the last part of the triangle, the first 2 was actually taking the ownership for them not doing the task. Like, how incredible is that we have to, as business owners, take that ownership first and make sure that we've ticked those boxes before then we can ask the question, like, do you actually care?
Absolutely. And you asked about attributes of leadership, and I talked about vision. I've talked a little about communication. But one of the core attributes of a great leader is they take extreme responsibility. They take, as Jocko Willink would say, they take extreme ownership, because we can blame others, but does that resolve anything?
Yeah.
It's far more empowering if we take onus and responsibility. Only then can we start changing things. So a lot of the time, You know, when people will bitch and moan about team members, it's like, hey, look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of business owners go through employees complaining about the same problem, but not seeing that maybe it's the way you're not doing the how, why. You're expecting them to come on board and just do it because they might have some experience elsewhere of doing it. But how do they know that's not the way you do things, or that is the way you do things, unless you're showing them, and you see that it's hard to tell someone that feedback without them getting that personal side, personal attack.
Depends on how it's approached. It depends on how it's framed. This is a great framework to have conversations with team members and working with different types of humans and different types of characters. Some of them will understand and absorb the concept, and there will be some others that might be a bit too difficult and may have a bit of resistance. Where Ron just said their guard might just be thrown up, the walls just thrown up. How would you approach something like that from a leadership perspective?
Yeah, so again, another attribute of great leaders is they've got to be phenomenal communicators, and that means having hard conversations. It means if someone is not adhering to a standard, then we need to make them aware of that, and we need to make sure that we can help it. We also need to take responsibility. If they're not to the bar that we have set, then we need to put the hand on heart and go, well, am I doing the training? Am I giving them the extra time? Am I giving them the extra attention that they need as well? I'm a big believer in transformational leadership, and that is really giving them and empowering them to deliver outcomes, all right? And so I don't want to micromanage someone. I don't want to have to see a checklist at the end of every single day to do it. I'm like, these are the outcomes that you're responsible for achieving. If you need my help, doors always open. I'm here for you. I want to help you. I want to see you succeed and win, but ultimately how you get there is up to you. Now, if we've got somebody that continues to fall short, then we got to identify, well, what don't they have right now? Is it a skill gap? Is it a resource gap? Or are they just not invested enough? And then we've got to obviously take the appropriate path that presents.
It's interesting.